So for these blueberry Mediterranean meatballs, I'm gonna start with talking just a little bit about dried blueberries. There are two kinds of dried blueberries. We have infused, that has a little bit of extra sweetness to it, and then we have naturally dried, just dried on their own, au naturel. The difference is that one is just a little bit sweet, and when you want one that has a little bit more of that blueberry tang, then you go natural. We're gonna start with some kosher salt. I have this ground cumin in it. It gives it this really dynamic Mediterranean flavor. Egg, just to help kind of bind things. Breadcrumbs, but you could also use any type of grain if you wanted to use quinoa, bulgur wheat. Fresh herbs gives it a nice pop of color and a nice flavor. Today I'm using cilantro, parsley, and mint. Some chopped white onion, kind of gives it a little bit of crunch. I'm gonna add some water. This water actually helps the blueberries hydrate while the meatballs set. And now I'm gonna add the blueberries. All right, I have all my goodies in my meatball mix right now, especially the dried blueberries. I'm gonna mix this meatball mix until everything's really well incorporated. I want the blueberries to have a bunch in each ball when I form it into the meatballs. So once all the meatballs are formed, I'm actually gonna let these meatballs chill just for a little bit in the walk-in. The reason is I want to give the blueberries a little bit of time to hydrate before cooking the meatballs. That way, the blueberries will plump a little bit and be a little bit of a soft chew while they're cooking and when people eat them, versus being like a little bit of a firmer chew. All right, now our meatballs are formed, super tasty. Let's go to the stove and we're gonna make the savory blueberry broth. So while the pot's heating up, let me talk to you a little bit about this blueberry juice. The blueberry juice, I love it because sometimes you want that blueberry flavor, but you don't really need the particulates of the blueberry itself. Okay, our pot's hot, we're gonna sweat these veggies. Okay, so our vegetables are lightly browned and sweated just a little bit. I'm gonna deglaze slightly with this blueberry juice. I have my blackstrap molasses. Gives it like that dynamic toasty flavor. We're gonna let this come to a simmer. I wanna heat this up because it's gonna help speed up the cooking time of the blueberry meatballs when they go in the oven and are immersed in this broth. All right, so my meatballs have chilled for about 10 to 15 minutes in the walk-in, but you could also make these meatballs overnight and then finish them the next day. So your prep time's pretty flexible at this point. So we have our chilled meatballs, we have our broth made, we're gonna combine them together and then we're gonna throw in the oven to bake. So I'm going to pour enough broth in just to braise the meatballs. I don't want them completely submerged because I'm just braising them, not boiling them. And then just to make sure that there's more flavor added in, I'm going to add in this onion. Woo, get in there, buddy. And some of the carrots. So as the meatballs cook, you can still get some more flavor from the vegetables that I used in the savory blueberry broth. I want a nice seal with my foil just to ensure that the blueberry savory broth doesn't evaporate all the way as the blueberry meatballs are cooking. We're gonna bake this at about 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. And then I'm gonna take off the foil and let the meatballs brown in the oven for another 5 minutes. That way you have this like nice golden meatball, and then you have those little pops of the dried blueberries showing through too. So while the blueberry meatballs are braising in a beautiful blueberry savory broth, I'm gonna show you a really quick +1 for a blueberry balsamic vinaigrette. The reason why it's so simple is you can take a pre-made dressing. It can be this balsamic, or it could be any other vinaigrette, or even ranch dressing. You put it into a blender, add blueberries, zhuzh it up, and then boom, you're done. So simple, so simple. I can hold this for quite a while in that walk-in fridge. So if I was actually to put some saran wrap between the squeezy part and the bottle, I could hold this for about 3 to 5 days, chilled, and it will stay fresh and stay flavorful. So straight out of the oven, we have our blueberry meatballs. They're beautifully browned. We let them just braise in that beautiful blueberry savory broth, and it has reduced a little bit, so you know that flavor has infused into the meatball as well. And you'll see too that the dried blueberries, they plumped a little bit, so it has that light chew and that little bit of juiciness too. I'm going to use this lemon Greek yogurt to kind of start it on the bottom and take these blueberry meatballs. Oh, they are gorgeous. So I have my 5 blueberry meatballs, and I'm going to add this harissa sauce for this pop of color. And then the blueberry adventure doesn't stop there. I'm going to add fresh blueberries. I love the garnish of fresh blueberries. They give these like orbs and bursts of flavor, that freshness to a dish that has that nice balance. I'm going to use this really great +1. I used blueberry powder and I mixed it with my sheep's feta so that the feta cheese will pop on the plate even more. This is another really great +1 play that I love. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I love cheese. And then that simple, also +1 blueberry balsamic vinaigrette, I'm just gonna kind of zhuzh it on the plate. And then of course, I love to plate in the colors of the rainbow. Look at that. That is gorgeous. We're just gonna do a little 360 on that. And then of course, I'm going to add a little bit of pita action to it so that people can take that sauce and spread it on this nice pita. And there you have it. Beautiful blueberry Mediterranean meatball. But taking this very same blueberry meatball mix, I can take it throughout all the different parts of the day on my menu. So for breakfast, I can turn it into a breakfast sausage patty for a handheld. For lunch, I can make it into a kebab for an entree or shareable appetizer. And then last but not least, for dinner, I took a little wedge of goat cheese, stuffed it into the meat mix to make a Juicy Lucy burger. So thanks for joining me today on learning about all the different ways we could use dried blueberries in our meatball mix and all the different ways that you can put it across your menu.